नमस्कार, गुड मॉर्निंग। इस गुलाबी शहर में आप सब लोगों का स्वागत। Jaipur is a city where everybody is welcome. And anybody who's lived in this city never forgets its affiliation, its warmth, its hospitality. The town itself, as you know, has been painted pink. And that pink is the color of hospitality because way back, this is the color in which it was painted in order to welcome the Prince of Wales. So Padharo Mare Desh goes back a long time, और अभी भी हम यही कहते हैं, Padharo Mere Desh. All the speakers today have their association with Jaipur, and so have I. So we are all home buddies talking today about our favorite city. So I will first turn to Anukrti Upadhyay, whose novel Kinshuggi won the Sushila Devi Award last year. It's a novel that is placed in Johari Bazaar with a Japanese gem apprentice who comes to live with a Marwari family in order to learn about the art of kundan setting. Would you like to tell us about your love for Jaipur and your interest in this subject that you put into your novel?
Thank you for this very thoughtful question, and thank you to all of you for being here on this Monday morning. As Malashri Didi mentioned, I am from Jaipur. I was born here, raised here. My mother is in the audience. The city holds a special place, as all places where you've lived at a time when your consciousness is growing and evolving, budding, germinating. That place where you become from a nascent person, grow into personhood, from nascence to potentialities. That place is part of your fiber. It makes you in many ways, and sometimes in many startling ways. You come up against things. So, for example, the language of Jaipur. I unfortunately cannot speak it, but I understand it. Marwari and the Jaipuri variety of Marwari, heard it everywhere. When I was writing Dora, I know you asked about Kintsugi, but when I was writing Dora, which is also, along with Bhauri, located in rural Rajasthan, the whole sentences, like whole chunks of sentences I'd heard in the bazaars, or people, conversations overheard, those came back. So the city was deeply embedded in me, in all its beauty. And you know, to be quite honest, it's a city that does not allow women a lot of freedom. I'm saying it with full awareness of my privilege and full awareness of the fact that my saying it is saying it here in Jaipur is probably not the most popular thing to say, but as a young woman, the city held me back. But while holding me back, it gave me so much that all my books, Kintsugi is a large part of it just happens in Johari Bazaar. I love the craft of the jewelers. I love people who work magic with their hands, without machines, without any kind of artificial precision equipment, who do everything with their hands and with the same equipment that were used generationally. So I love that about it, but there's no gainsaying the fact that city holds you back while filling you up. I don't know any other way of expressing it.
That's beautifully put. That Jaipur, one can have a somewhat paradoxical association with the city. You grow up here, you're influenced by it, you move away, and it keeps pulling you back. Manisha, may I turn to you now as a best-selling novelist in Hindi, and you have excellent racy material to bring to the audience, and it was a great pleasure for me to read your novels. So if I can ask you at the moment about Swapnapash, which was published very recently in 2022. It's a very bold novel about schizophrenia, mental health. औरतों के विषय में ये सब नहीं लिखा जाता है, मैं तो यही कहूँगी. पर आपने इसको लिखा, समझा. What you have said is a beautiful quest of the lonely woman for self-understanding and the confrontation with that mental isolation that many women feel. And you've also linked it with sort of medical ideas about schizophrenia, etc. A little more about that for the audience?
दरअसल जब मैंने गुलनाज़ फरीबा को गढ़ा तो मेरे सामने थे साल्वाडोर दाली, मेरे सामने थे वॉन गॉग, और उसके अलावा मेरे सामने थी आर्टिमीजिया, जो पहली फ्रेस्को पेंटर थी जिन्होंने फ्लोरेंस में पहली हिम्मत की थी कि वो फ्रेस्को पेंटर्स की दुनिया में कदम रखें. तो पहले हम सिजोफ्रेनिया की बात करें तो आप में से ज़्यादातर उसके बारे में उसे डिप्रेशन से जोड़ते होंगे, उसे अकेलेपन से जोड़ते होंगे, लेकिन ये एक जेनेटिक साइकोसिस है और ये बिल्कुल एक पीढ़ी से दूसरी पीढ़ी में स्थानांतरित होती है. और मुझे हमेशा लगता है कि एक लेखक तो वैसे ही रियल को अनरियल और अनरियल को रियल समझता है. तो सिजोफ्रेनिया के साथ ये बात है कि आपको अजीब सी आवाज़ें सुनाई देती हैं, अजीब से लोग आपके साथ चलते हैं जो कि रियल नहीं होते. और सिजोफ्रेनिया हमेशा उन लोगों को होता है जो कलात्मक रूप से बहुत समृद्ध होते हैं या सुपर ब्रिलियंट होते हैं. जैसे कहते हैं ना कि गाड़ी चला रहे हो और आपकी स्पीड इतनी तेज़ हो जाए कि आगे के दृश्य गड़बड़ हो जाए, सिजोफ्रेनिया वही है. तो जब मैंने गुलनाज़ फरीबा को गढ़ा तो मुझे लगा कि पेंटिंग एक ऐसा संसार है जो सिजोफ्रेनिक्स को अलाउ करता है कि वो अपनी अनरियल दुनिया को रियलिटी में दिखा सके. तो गुलनाज़ फरीबा दो कलाकारों की बेटी है, तो कला तो उसके अंदर और लेखन उसके अंदर एक कीड़े की तरह पहले से ही एक क्रिएटिव बग ने उसे काटा हुआ है. तो जब मैंने उसे रचा तो आपने जैसे पहले भी पूछा कि क्या कोरोना डेज़ का, तो कोरोना डेज़ ने हम सबको एक सोचने की मोहलत दी थी कि हम आंतरिक संसारों की यात्रा करें. तो गुलनाज़ फरीबा उन्हीं दिनों की और मेरे बहुत सघन एकांतों की कृति है. तो मुझे लगता है कि हमें औरतों की मेंटल इश्यूज़ पर और ज़्यादा बात करनी चाहिए. मेरे सामने सुनीता सनाढ्य पांडे हैं जो खुद साइकोलॉजिकल काउंसलर हैं. तो ऐसे मेरे बहुत सारे दोस्त थे जिन्होंने मुझे इस उपन्यास को लिखने में हेल्प की. तो मेडिकली मेरे को लगता है कि हिंदी में वैज्ञानिक तौर पर उपन्यास कम लिखे जाते हैं. और क्योंकि मेरा भी बैकग्राउंड साइंस ग्रेजुएट हूँ मैं, तो मेरी रुचि थी कि मैं इसको एक साइंटिफिक तरीके से लिखूँ. माला जी,
थैंक यू वेरी मच मनीषा. बहुत गहराई से आपने बताया कि इस उपन्यास में आप किस तरह से औरत का परिचय देती हैं. Tripti, unlike Manisha and Anukrti and myself, who moved away from Jaipur and then keep coming back, you have been a continuous resident in this city and written deeply about it, on silver jewelry, on the musical traditions, on folk practices. Yesterday, your first novel, The Half Empress, was launched to great acclaim. और ये जो रस कपूर की कहानी जो आपने रची है, क्योंकि रस कपूर के बारे में हम बहुत कम जानते हैं, इसके लिए तो हिस्टोरिकल रिसर्च आपको बहुत करना पड़ा होगा. और इसके साथ साथ जो जयपुर के बारे में आपको जानकारी ऑलरेडी है वो भी आपने इससे जोड़ा होगा. तो इस किताब को लिखने में जयपुर का जो रोल है, मतलब हिस्टोरिकल जयपुर, ट्रेडिशनल जयपुर की औरतों को हिस्ट्री से हटा के रखा गया, इस सब के बारे में आपकी क्या राय है?
I have a situation. I have two friends. I can see who must be talking English. If you understand some Hindi, I'll talk in Hindi as well. यहाँ के क्योंकि मुझे वो दूर से दिख गई और मुझे लगा इस छोटी सी ऑडियंस में दो और भी बैठे हैं, उन तक पहुँचना बहुत ज़रूरी है. और मेरा सौभाग्य ये है कि मुझे दोनों भाषाओं की पकड़ कह लीजिए है. तो I would just say about my book first and then of course I'll answer some things. I'm a Jaipur resident. Jaipur is in me and I think Jaipur also feels I'm there. I'm eternally there. I go to the temples inside early in the mornings. I walk through the bylanes. I discover stories. I publish a magazine called My Jaipur Vision, which is every month. And I did a book called India's Elephants, A Cultural Legacy. The idea of elephants and mahouts, when elephants don't breed in Jaipur, but it came to me from here only because elephants are part of the entire milieu of Jaipur and the Mahavta ka Mahalla, the colony of mahouts. So it took me to the back lanes and back colonies of Jaipur. Coming to Ras Kapoor, it was interesting because I had done my elephant book and I was sitting with Millie in a coffee shop and we were having a cup of coffee and she said, "You're a Jaipur person, why don't you pick up something around history, a cultural figure, something where you can narrate a kind of a fiction?" I thought for 2 minutes and I thought of, oh, this is the story I would like to talk and take it beyond India, beyond Rajasthan in a language where people are totally unaware of this story. Now, I wanted to say it from a woman's perspective because when Krishna has a lover Radha, nobody condemns. But when there is a Ras Kapoor in Jagat Singh Ji's life, everybody condemns Ras Kapoor. And nobody says that Jagat Singh himself had many wives, many concubines, and yet there was a woman who could command so much that the title of Ardharajan was bestowed upon her. Now, everybody doesn't want to say, but I really wanted to give her title back. And that's why the book's title came back, The Half Empress. So that's what I wanted to give it to her, that the title must be restored to her. Because how many times do you hear in the history, nowhere a Tawaif has been bestowed upon that title. And also her riding the elephant made such a news, which I read yesterday as well, through the corridors of City Palace and coming out. No Maharani was seen on an elephant back. No Tawaif, that is out of question. And some people even called her Noor Jahan. But Noor Jahan was an empress when she was riding the elephant. So, and telling her story, Malaji, what made me very comfortable with, because I have done a lot of work on the costumes, on the odhnis, that's my ongoing research, that I could fill in with the beauty of the costumes, songs, jewelry, and I hope rest, of course, when you read the book. So that's my tale. And Jaipur with me will give me more ideas, I'm sure.
Tripti, this recovering women's history is a very important enterprise. And I want to turn briefly to Manisha and to an earlier book, your novel Mallika, which became so popular. Because here, this is the story of a woman whose name is linked to Bharatendu Harishchandra, 19th century playwright and poet. And yet it's an imaginative novel about the poet's muse. Again, आपने काफ़ी imagination जोड़ा है क्योंकि facts तो बहुत कम हैं. तो मल्लिका को जो आपने create किया है, it seems to me she's perhaps a Bengali widow in Banaras. It is possible that Bharatendu Harishchandra learned some Bengali from her and that he taught her Hindi. But we know so little from any kind of documentary or archival evidence. So what went into the creation of the story of Mallika, and how does it relate to Rajasthan and the recovery of women's history being an important issue?
बिल्कुल माला जी, हुआ ये था कि मैं भारतेंदु हरिश्चंद्र जी की जीवनियाँ पढ़ रही थी, ब्रजेंद्र रतन दास और शिव नंदन सहाय जी की. तो उसमें 2 चैप्टर्स थे और वो मल्लिका से संबोधित थे. एक चैप्टर का नाम था चंद्र में कलंक, दूसरे का नाम था गुलाब में कांटा. बस यही बात मुझे अखर गई और मुझे लगा कि मुझे मल्लिका को एक अलग अवतार में, एक अलग तरह से, जो कि वो थीं, और ये सच है कि उनके बहुत ही कम एविडेंस मिलते हैं, जहाँ भारतेंदु हरिश्चंद्र के जन्म के क्षण से लेके मृत्यु के क्षण तक, और मृत्यु के समय उन्होंने मल्लिका को सरस्वती कह के पुकारा था, यहाँ तक भी मिलता है। लेकिन मल्लिका के बारे में, जो मल्लिका के उपन्यास हैं, और एक आप सबको आश्चर्य की बात मैं बताती हूँ कि हिंदी साहित्य में उपन्यास शब्द प्रेमिका के ज़रिए आया बंगाल से, वो मल्लिका ही थी। इससे पहले हिंदी में आख्यान और आख्यायिका कहा जाता था। तो जब मल्लिका आई और उन्होंने उपन्यासों के हिंदी में अनुवाद किए तो उपन्यास शब्द भारतेंदु हरिश्चंद्र जी ने अपना लिया। और अगर मैं बात कहूँ इसके राजस्थान से कनेक्शन से, तो भारतेंदु हरिश्चंद्र अपनी मृत्यु से थोड़ा पहले मेवाड़ आके रुके थे, और सुनते हैं वहाँ से उन्होंने मल्लिका को बहुत सारे खत लिखे थे। तो मैंने एक कल्पना के तौर पर एक छोटा सा खत पढ़ के बिल्कुल आधा मिनट में लूँगी, और वो खत है, वो जो पत्र है वो राजस्थान से मल्लिका के कनेक्शन को आपको बताता है। प्रिया, मैं मेवाड़ के इतिहास के उस मुहाने पर आज खड़ा हुआ हूँ जहाँ से उत्तर भारत का एक इतिहास करवट लेता है। इतिहास को जाने दो प्रिय, इतिहास से मृत देहों और विस्फोटक बारूद की मृत्युगंध उठती है। रक्त सनी दीवारें और जौहर कुंड मुझे अनमना कर गए हैं। हाँ, मीरा मंदिर में खड़े होकर मैंने तुम्हें अनायास पुकार लिया। वहाँ लगे मीरा के चित्र में वे बड़े बड़े तृषार्त नेत्र मुझे तुम्हारे नेत्र लगे। प्रश्न सा खड़ा रहा मैं उन नेत्रों के टापू पर, मगर मुझे उत्तर नहीं मिला। हर पुकार का उत्तर नहीं होता, कुछ पुकारों को अनुत्तरित रहना होता है। चित्तौड़ के किले में मीरा के सच्चे मंदिर में अब कृष्ण का विग्रह नहीं है, न ही है मीरा का तानपुरा। शायद कुछ प्रतिगूंजे हैं जिनके चलते गौएं वहाँ झाड़ पेड़ों में दुब के ऊबड़ खाबड़ मंदिर तक जाने कैसे जा पहुँचती हैं। मंदिर का संकरा अहाता गोबर से पटा रहता है। किसको कहूँ और कैसे कहूँ कि मीरा की तरह जीवन बीत जाते हैं प्रभु और प्रेम की तलाश में। वह एक सच्चा पल ही होता है जो होता है परम साक्षात्कार का।
Thank you, Manisha. That was a very vivid reading about Mallika. Anukriti, your early books, Bhauri and Dora, they evoke rural Rajasthan. और उनमें विजयदान देता का काफ़ी इन्फ्लुएंस नज़र आता है, और आपके रिव्यूज़ में भी ये बात काफ़ी रिव्यूअर्स ने आगे उभर के निकाला है। तो ये जो दिस ट्रिमेंडस पोटेंशियल दैट देयर इज़ इन स्पीकिंग अबाउट folklore and traditional stories, this obviously attracted you to explore that part of Rajasthan. But your new book, ये है मेरे पास, बहुत ही अच्छी किताब है, The Blue Women and Other Stories. इसमें राजस्थान इतना नहीं नज़र आता। तो is this a transition that you are making, or where does Jaipur, Shehar or Sapna still stay with you?
So you're right. The stories of blue women, I think barring one, all happen everywhere. But the stories have been written in a period from 2016 to 2021. I write short stories because I love the form, its challenges, its conveniences, its succinctity. So they were selected by my editor. So राजस्थान और जयपुर से तो दूर मैं जा ही नहीं सकती, भरा हुआ है मुझ में जो शहर, जो परिवेश, जो संस्कृति। इनफैक्ट इस किताब के आने से पहले हिंदी में मेरा एक मैं हिंदी में भी लिखती हूँ, तो हिंदी में मेरा एक उपन्यास आया था नीना आंटी, जो पूरी तरह से जयपुर में ही घटता है, और जो जयपुर के संयुक्त परिवार, जयपुर की स्त्रियों और जयपुर का द्वंद्व, और उसमें राजस्थान यूनिवर्सिटी, सब कुछ उसमें प्रतिफलित है। इन कहानियों में मेरे दूसरे जगहों के अनुभव है, क्योंकि जयपुर से दूर चली गई और दूसरे शहर भी मुझ में जज्ब होने लगे, लेकिन जयपुर निकला नहीं, क्योंकि जिस भी शहर में गई मन में एक रिलेटिविटी है। तो जब मैं हांगकांग के बारे में लिख रही हूँ, हांगकांग के बारे में रही हूँ, माने घटना हांगकांग में घटित हो रही है, लेकिन मन में है जयपुर सा मौसम है ये, तो वो जो एक दूसरे मन के एक दूसरे स्तर पर जो पुराने मुझ में घुटे हुए अनुभव भरे हुए वो चलते ही रहते हैं. हालांकि द ब्लू वुमेन, the stories are of a different flavor. They are more urban compared to my other English works, which were totally rural. Dora and Bhauri are rural Rajasthan. Kintsugi is different places, but also Jaipur. So no, the city hasn't left me, and I am not going to leave the city either.
Maybe you can look for something to read a little later.
Sure.
When it's time.
Sure.
And it's always good to hear a piece from the author directly. Tripti, coming to you. All these books that you have written about Rajasthan, the research that you have done, there is something about traditional Rajasthan which is very attractive but also sometimes disturbing. Especially when one comes to the idea of the feudal hierarchies, the patriarchy, the obliteration of women from history and culture. When you are a resident here, you've seen many changes, Tripti. And not only have you seen the changes, but you're constantly writing about it. So how do you reconcile this paradox that Rajasthan and Jaipur are both very attractive historically and culturally, but also, if it comes to the woman's story, somewhat disturbing?
I look at whole of Rajasthan in a positive way. What was yesterday is not today. You go to the Zanani Jodi. I have had a very good fortune of going to the Zanani Jodi in the city palace. Part of it is in ruins, where you think, what must have been their life? How did they live here? All away from the outside world. And now today, when I go for the Gangor Puja or go for the Tej Mata Puja, when the royal family members, earlier it was Diya, and now Princess Gauri, they are worshipping in their traditional attire, educated in USA and living a modern day life. So I see the change coming in. Feudalistic it was, things are changing in a big way. The other change that I can really talk about and be proud of is the story of, for me, Gulabi to the world Gulabo, the snake charmer. She was sort of discovered by me and my other colleague and good friend, Himmat Singh, and it was so interesting that she was dancing on the dunes as a little girl, and people were throwing money, and that time the 25 paisa wala, chawani wala coin was also there. That evening, we got her to perform against the wishes of entire bureaucracy. They were surprised that I was picking up somebody from the street. And they said, how are you going to do it? She was not scheduled. And she came in. She got her first 50 rupees. And the life changed not only for Kalvelia, but the Kalvelia Samaj, the girls. Today, no Rajasthan program can be held without the presence of the Kalvelia women. Yesterday it was a Snake Charmers India. Today it is Snake Charmer Girls India, where the men ask the dancers, please take us to a company on the flute, the Snake Charmers flute or the dapli. Otherwise they are not being even brought to the stage. If I am sort of coordinating, I always want them to bring their original instruments. So the snake charmer men have a chance, but today they look up to their women. When will they take them abroad? And see the passports of those girls. It's not the degree. See how many countries they go to. They conduct workshops. So Malaji, I see Rajasthan is changing in a big way. And today's world is so different. This Gulabi came to my office and she asked me, Baisa, do you have, आपके पास मोबाइल है? मोबाइल क्या होता है? वो शुरू हो रहा था मोबाइल का दौर. And she had the mobile and I was yet to buy a mobile. Now see the change.
That's a lovely narrative. Anukriti, may we have some reading from you, please?
Thank you, Didi, for giving me the opportunity to read from My newest work, it's called The Blue Women. I'm reading the story that is set in Jaipur. I'm starting in the middle. Like all writers, we start in the middle and then the story takes us either to the beginning or to the end. The story is called Mona. Mona fetched a fresh set of clothes from his almirah, crisply starched, socks too. He has sensitive feet and a comb for his soft, thick hair. Your mother constantly accuses me of vanity. Can I help it if my hair is beautiful, Bachchi? The only one who has more beautiful hair is you. Those were her father's words. Ved Pathiji and others had arrived. We have everything we need, Beti. You go in. This last service is for us to render. Ved Pathiji and Kakosa both wept as they took the bucket of warm water from Kamla's hands for the ritual bath. Please wait a moment. Let me get Papa's cologne. His bath won't be complete without. Mona went into the house. Papa was led on a bier, tied with the red and yellow molly thread. His students had piled the bier high with roses and marigolds. Harsingar and Mogra, Papa would say, only 2 fragrant flowers are meant for me. The rest cause me to sneeze and your mother to panic. It is a mercy that I am not allergic to colors. Otherwise, your mother would paint the whole world black and white. Mona bent before her father and laid a handful of Harsingar blossoms on his feet. He didn't like anyone touching his feet. What's this? You are checking if I have washed my feet properly, Bachchi? Bending and bowing are mere movements of the gross body. The Sukshma Deh doesn't need this ostentation of regard. There was a crowd around the flower-decked bier. So many wanted to lift it on their shoulders in symbolic farewell. A bamboo pole rested for a moment on Anshu's thin shoulder. His legs shook and buckled. Naina Jija's son stepped forward and gathered him in their arms. Mona followed Papa out the gate. Nana Mona Baisa. Mangal Bhaisa stopped her. You can't go to the Shamshan. Women are not allowed there. Papa used to take me everywhere he went, Bhaisa. Mona opened the door of the car directly behind the van carrying Papa. I will go with him. Mona, you must respect the rituals. You can't have your way in everything, Ranju said in a brittle voice. Mona glanced at him. Her way? Nothing was her way. Papa left. He was leaving. He will be gone. She got into the car and stared ahead in silence. The coral and pearl placed in Papa's mouth as fee for the god of death to make his passage easy gleamed softly in the winter sunlight.
Very sensitive reading indeed. Manisha, a question about your language. You're a very successful blogger. You have a huge following on digital media. The language that you use is a very lively, racy mix of Hindi and English. And it has so much energy. Now, when you think about Jaipur, is this the sapna of Jaipur to become a metropolis but not lose its identity? Or where does this play of interlanguage come in according to you? And then maybe you'll read a little bit more from Mallika or whichever book you like.
मालाश्री जी, सबसे पहले अगर मैं बात करूं तो जयपुर तो ग्लोबल मैप पे बहुत पहले आ गया था जेम्स और अगर हम बात करें जयपुर घराने की और अगर हम बात करें टूरिज़्म की तो मुझे लगता है कि जयपुर ग्लोबल होना 70s से शुरू हो चुका था और मुझे याद है कि बहुत पहले सुबह 9 बजे वाले पिक्चर के शो हुआ करते थे जो अंग्रेज़ी फिल्मों के हुआ करते थे। तो मुझे लगता है कि जयपुर में बहुत समय से एक भाषा को लेकर बदलाव आ रहा है और अगर हम हिंदी की बात करें तो हिंदी तो बहती नदी है, तो बहुत सारे तटों से अपने लवण लेती है, तो हिंदी तो बदल ही रही है। और अगर मैं अपनी भाषा की बात करूं तो मेरी भाषा में अगर मल्लिका पे मैं लिख रही हूँ तो वो स्वतंत्रता से पहले की भाषा आती है और अगर मैं स्वप्नपाश लिख रही हूँ, गुलनाज फरीबा जो एक पेंटर है ग्लोबली नोन है, तो वहाँ मेरी भाषा मिक्स हो जाती है। और जयपुर को लेकर निश्चय ही हम सभी का सपना है कि JLF तो है ही जो उसको ग्लोबल मैप पे उसको इतना पॉपुलर करता है और जयपुर अपने आप में हमेशा से जितना पारंपरिक रहा उतना ही मॉडर्न रहा है। तृप्ति जी हैं, ये चारों बहनें हमारे शहर की प्रतिनिधि हैं और इन लोगों के नाम से ही लोग जयपुर को दोबारा से रेखांकित करते हैं। और कथक घराना दुर्गालाल जी, पंडित दुर्गालाल जी थे, उन्होंने ग्लोबली इसको प्रसिद्ध किया। तो मुझे लगता है कि जयपुर की जो नींव थी उसमें ही करवटें हैं जिसको और ग्लोबल होना था, और ये सपना मुझे लगता है पूरा हो गया जो हम देखना चाहते थे कि यहाँ भाषाओं का मिश्रण हो। तो अगर आप अंदर जौहरी बाज़ार की तरफ जाएं तो वहाँ छोटे छोटे दुकानदार फ्रेंच बोल रहे होते हैं, जर्मन बोल रहे होते हैं। तो मुझे लगता है टूरिज़्म ने और बहुत सारी चीज़ों ने इसे बहुत पहले शुरू कर दिया था और हम JLF के तौर पे इस सपने को पूरा होता हुआ देख रहे हैं।
That's very true. Jaipur's globalization and Rajasthan's influence over a lot of other literatures and communities is a pretty old one. Some part of me belongs to Bengal, and we all remember Abanindranath's collection called Rajkahini. All the stories were derived from the history of Rajasthan. उन्होंने बंगाली में लिखा, फिर उसका अंग्रेजी में अनुवाद हुआ बहुत बार। अभी एक फ्रेश अनुवाद साहित्य अकादमी की तरफ से कुछ ही दिनों में निकलेगा। तो ये तो राजस्थान की जो कहानी है ये दुनिया में सबको पता है और हम इस बारे में बहुत खुश हैं कि हम लोग जयपुर और राजस्थान के लोग हैं और इसकी चर्चा कहीं कहीं होती रहती है। तो तृप्ति, मैं आपको पूछूंगी कि आपने जो ये किताब लिखी है, ये तो बहुत पुरानी कहानी है राजस्थान की, जयपुर की, but you've given it a very modern slant also, because the issues that you have raised are very contemporary ones, what Manisha and Anukrti have just said about the modernization of Rajasthan. So may I request you to read something from your new novel?
See, one quick take on the earlier speaker. I have 2-3 things to say. When I'm writing about a period, there's very little modern bit I can bring in, but I can bring in a way the lady character reacts. That shows that there is a modern woman, even in a medieval woman, and even in the ancient woman, where she defies, where she questions. And everything about Jaipur is very beautiful. I am a resident of Jaipur. So my concerns are even bigger because I see it from a zoom lens and I zoom in what is going wrong. When I see any building or any haveli, anything being brought down in the pink city, my heart bleeds because I think a piece of history is going away. And since I'm a bilingual writer, I write for Rajasthan Patrika pretty regularly and I raise these issues. So that is it, but reading from my book, coming to this, yeah. No, I'll do it. So I think I gave my book whole idea of camphor, kapoor. The way camphor ignites, it ignites fast. And when it is extinguishing, it goes fast. And it leaves no residue. कपूर जलता है, तमाम जोर से जलता है और ख़त्म हो जाता है और उसके बाद कुछ नहीं दिखता। तो मैंने सेक्रेट मंत्र वहीं से शुरू किया, चूँकि आपने कल कहा था, कर्पूर गौरव कर्णावतारम संसार सारम भुजगेंद्र आरम सदा वसंतम हृदयारविंदे भवम भवामी सहितम नमामि. And so, O Lord, as pure as camphor, you are the embodiment of compassion. You are the essence of the universe. You adorn the serpent king as a garland. You always reside in the lotus of my heart. To you, Lord, accompanied by Goddess Parvati, I bow. That is the last prayer offered. Do you want to say something? I'll just say quickly. यहाँ last का पैरे में आती हूँ, है ना? जहाँ उसको कैम्फर बोलते हैं. ठीक है? Okay, fine. So, she was the daughter of Shivnarayan Mishra and the Tavayev. Shivnarayan Mishra sees this beautiful girl and he suddenly says, this is where I'll read quickly. He saw her speaking almond-shaped eyes, Pandit Shivnarayan Mishra, spontaneously sighed, Ras Kapoor. Yeah, Chand, my love, I am naming this beautiful baby of ours, Ras Kapoor. A moment that would carve her destiny. It seemed as though her learned father had forgotten the Namkaran Sanskar, the elaborate Hindu ceremony they should have had to name their baby. When a baby was born, it was he who professed the importance of Sola Sanskar, the 16 rituals from birth to death. It was he who drew the astronomical charts for a newborn babies and sought the blessings of the family deity. It was only after the horoscope had been drawn, calculations made based on the position of the planets at the time of the birth, that the first letter considered auspicious was decided.
Thank you. So that's how she was called Ras Kapoor. And that's your imagination, right? आपने वो कैम्फर को लेके कहानी बनाई है. अच्छा, अब questions ले लेते हैं. I'm sure there are lots of people here. Please go ahead. Can we start with him and then go on to you? Is there a mic available? Thank you. Just very short questions so that we can get lots of responses in.
Tripti ma'am, so you write a lot about Rajasthan, and many things will be observation based and experience based. But in certain things, you must be talking with locals about the distinct traditions and everything. So what are the challenges? I mean, are they hesitant or are they open while you ask them about those distinct traditions?
I think generally I have a way with words. I have a way with my eye contact. I have a way to really get them to talk. And that's how it was, even getting the Kalbelia girls on the stage. Their men first refused. And getting them, the first day I waited whether they would come or not. So I guess, कुछ है जो उनसे जोड़ लेता है.
I just want to add one word to that. It's so beautiful to hear you say that, to acknowledge and own your own powers, because unfortunately women don't do that often. I was talking, my very talented writer friend Anu Singh Chaudhary is there. We were just talking about how women hesitate about speaking of their own talents, and in fact if anybody compliments me, go nahi aisi to koi khas baat nahi aap ye hamara kaam mat padhiye, koi khas nahi, दूसरों का पढ़िए. I've more power to you, ma'am. We want to hear this. मैं ऐसा कर सकती हूँ, मुझ में ये प्रतिभा है. Thank you.
Ma'am, my question is that Jaipur was India's first well-planned city, and it was known for so many great things. But in 2023, the Jaipur we have now, this is not what we desired or what we would have thought of. Don't you think it has taken an ugly turn in a few aspects or few ways of looking?
जो तीन writers हैं, आप this is political. ये आप
literature reference of heritage of the city. Heritage of the city and
नहीं, बिल्कुल. मुझे जब मेट्रो आई थी तो मुझे लगता था कि पानी पहले आना चाहिए था. तो जो शहर को मेट्रो ने थोड़ा सा डैमेज किया तो मुझे भी तकलीफ हुई थी. पर मुझे लगता है कि हम सब इस पे बात कर सकते हैं, लेकिन इस बात को बदल नहीं सकते कि विकास साथ में चल रहा है.
More questions? Yes, please.
मुझे उसके
आप माइक ले लीजिए.
मेरा नाम तेजी गो.
आप माइक ले लीजिए.
कि किसी ने लिखा था मल्लिका के बारे में कि जो आप कल्पना करते हैं जहाँ भारतेंदु रहते हैं और जहाँ मल्लिका, और वो हूबहू वैसी ही
बिल्कुल.
हाँ, आप जरा उसके बारे में थोड़ा
जी दीदी जी. जब मल्लिका का लोकार्पण हुआ तो बनारस वालों का आग्रह था कि मैं भारतेंदु हरिश्चंद्र जी के घर में उस किताब का लोकार्पण हो. तो सबसे बड़ी बात तो ये कि भारतेंदु जी का परिवार इतना उदार था, वरना मल्लिका का अस्तित्व और पहले नेस्तनाबूद हो गया होता. उनकी किताबें बची रहीं तो उनके परिवार ने बहुत स्वागत किया कि मैं उस किताब का भारतेंदु हरिश्चंद्र जी के घर में विमोचन करूं. तो जब मैं मन्नों की बात करती हूँ, लोग मुझसे कहते हैं अरे मल्लिका, तो मैंने कहा नहीं, मुझ में मन्नो भी है. तो मन्नो जो थी भारतेंदु हरिश्चंद्र जी की पत्नी, अगर वो नहीं चाहती तो शायद मल्लिका की सारी पांडुलिपियाँ नष्ट हो गई होती. तो उस घर में मुझे बहुत प्रेम मिला. तो सबसे एक आश्चर्यजनक बात जो हुई, मैंने अपने उपन्यास में एक ऐसी सीढ़ी बताई है जो कि भारतेंदु हरिश्चंद्र जी के कमरे में सीधे जाती है बाहर से ही. मल्लिका को घर में प्रवेश करने की या और उनके लेखक मित्रों को, उनकी मंडली को घर में प्रवेश करने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती थी. तो जब मैं वहाँ गई तो वो सीढ़ियाँ थीं, और मैं उसके पहले भारतेंदु जी के उस घर में कभी नहीं गई थी. वहाँ उनकी पालकी पड़ी रहती है जिसे उन्होंने नाम दिया था ताम झाम. तो उस पालकी का भी जिक्र है इस किताब में.
Any other questions?
थैंक यू तेजी जी.
कोई सवाल यहाँ पे पूछेगा? हाँ, रोबी.
One, I'm happy to see pink on the stage.
Oh, proud partner.
No, the question is to Tripti. And it goes back to something you said during your discussion, that you're doing studies on costumes and dresses, etc. And in it, we'd like also to see, and it's a suggestion, that we could drive through the outside the urban areas and you see women in yellows, in reds, in greens, absolutely gorgeous. And that you don't see in the city really, except for some person from the rural areas coming. When you do your research work, please include those also, and also make it so that it's photographically catching.
Oh, well, Robida, one thing I like your compliment, and compliment going to your better half. And what I want to tell you, you'll be happy to hear this. There's a big work of mine, one day it would be published, I hope so, Through the Veil. This has been sort of showcased even in festivals of India. And this is about the Odhanis and the colors, what they denote, the songs that come around the Odhanis. And also, what it is not merely yellow or red. My simple philosophy is, and simple perception is, that what nature denied, it was all the desert landscape, the people gave in abundance through the colors of their costumes and through the lyrics of their songs. So that's it. And even in the book here, I have described Motiya Gulabi, which is worn on Sharat Purnima, and all the Rajwadi Rajputs, if there's anyone here, they are given that dress code. Come in the light pink, or come in Faguniya, that is white and red, so that you splash. And originally it used to be all kacha color, and the fabric that if got the color, the other splashes, then it was given away once after playing the Holi. So there are lovely stories in this Odhni business of mine. It's an ongoing research of mine. Business, I say, my persuasion or my following the route. It's not selling business. I am just following the cultural route, and it's a huge work, Nanji. आप बड़े खुश होंगे. और I have translated the songs also that refer to Odhnis.
मुझे एक छोटी सी लाइन याद आती रंगों को लेके, राजस्थान के लिए बारे में कहते हैं, मारू थारा देश में निपुजे तीन रतन, एक ढोलो दूजी मरुवन, तीजो कसुमल रंग.
It was the same stage last year, and it was मारे देश मारू थारे देश में निपजा तीन रतन, एक ढोलो दूजी मारवन, तीजो कसुमल रंग, पधारो मारे देश.
That's a good note on which to conclude this session. What is so beautiful about Jaipur, Rajasthan, is that literature is not separate from music, from dance, from food, costume, color. And it is this integrated, wholesome, comprehensive Jaipur and Rajasthan that we are here to celebrate. And JLF being here has brought in a periodic reminder of this enrichment with which we live. So I'd like to thank all the wonderful speakers, Manisha, Anukrti, Tripti, and this very wonderful and perceptive, interested, and deeply appreciative audience. Thank you for your questions, for your interest in the session. And we all love Jaipur, and we all have Rajasthan in our dreams.
From rural to royal, Ram Ram and Kamangani, that is it.